Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be, and thank you so much for joining us. This is the University of Southern California, Gould School of Law, and we'll be talking a little bit more about the law degrees and certificates that we offer, as well as what you might experience if you come to study with us on our campus in Los Angeles. So as you may see when you join, this event is being recorded. And I'd like to start with some brief introductions. My name is Sarah Gracious. I am the Director of Special Projects at the Graduate and International Programs Office at USC Gould. I'm joined by my colleague, Ashley Sim. She's the Associate Director of Admissions, and our Associate Dean, Misa Shimotsu Kim, will also be joining us later on in this presentation. In addition to our on-campus Los Angeles team, we are so pleased to have a lot of representation from USC all throughout China. So we have many offices, including central offices in Beijing, Shanghai, and Southern China and Hong Kong. And the names that you see here are the directors of those offices. And they host a lot of events for admitted students, for current students, as well as alumni. You can see that Wenting Wu is also the director of our China Career Services Office, which is based out of Shanghai, which is a fantastic resource for our students from China who may plan to work in China after graduation. And I'd also like to thank our team from USC who's here on the call, who will be helping us translate any questions that we receive in Mandarin to English, so we can help answer anything. So if you have questions at any time in this presentation and you don't want to ask in English, feel free to ask in Chinese. You can just put it in the chat and we'll be answering those later on in this presentation. So now I'd like to talk a little bit about the programs that we offer specifically through our Graduate and International Programs Office at the law school. There's a beautiful campus shot. So in our programs, we divide them between on-campus programs where you'll come physically to Los Angeles to study, and then we also have a whole host of online programs as well. So I'll start by talking about the on-campus programs that we offer, and then in the next slide, I'll cover our online programs. So really the degree that you might be interested in, or the certificate that you might be interested in, will depend on your background and your goals. So traditionally, if you have a first degree in law, meaning that you are intending to either be an attorney or practice law sometime in the future in your career, you may be interested in one of our Master of Laws degree. We have a one-year traditional LLM, which is our most flexible. And then we also have a two-year extended LLM, and that includes a certificate year prior to the LLM, where you take courses to prepare you to study in the LLM in the following year, and you also take English fluency courses. So you can boost your English proficiency while you're studying in Los Angeles. Then depending on your area of interest, you may consider one of our specialized degrees. We offer three, including our newest in privacy law and cybersecurity, which is a very trending area of law. We also offer an LLM in international business and economics, as well as alternative dispute resolution. Now, if you are interested in the law, you don't want to practice, or you don't have a first degree in law, we might still have a program that's a good fit for your plan. So without any background in law, the middle column will show you the degrees that might be available to you. So the first is our traditional 3-year Juris Doctor degree. Again, you don't have to have any legal background, but it does require that you take the LSAT exam for your application for just that degree. We also offer a one-year Master of Studies in Law. This is very similar to the LLM, but it's intended for people who don't plan to practice law. So it covers some of the very core and fundamental legal subjects with the understanding that you're going to be applying your knowledge in a slightly different way in your career later on. We also offer a Master of Dispute Resolution. So if you're interested in those alternative dispute resolution processes as a mediator or an arbitrator, that might be a good fit for you. We have recently launched our Master of International Trade Law and Economics degree. This is a partnership with the Dornsife Department of Economics at USC. So in this degree, you'll be taking half of the curriculum will come from the law school, and the other half will come from the Department of Economics. And this is a really great degree if you have a very strong background in math, and you plan to somehow incorporate maybe analysis, planning, or policy making in your career in the future. And we most recently launched the Law, Social Justice, and Diversity Certificate, which is a standalone non-degree, so it's a 12-unit program that you can take if that might be a field of your interest. All of the degrees that we offer on campus are one-year full-time degrees, and we offer both fall start and spring start. One of the, I think, really wonderful benefits of the LLM degrees that we offer is that you have the opportunity to further specialize your degree program by enrolling in an optional certificate. And here on this right-hand side, you can see the certificates that we offer with our on-campus LLM degree programs. So you can take both. Let's say you do the privacy law and cybersecurity LLM, you can take that degree as well as the technology and entrepreneurship certificate, for example. This can be helpful to narrow your field of study. So if you know that you're interested in one of these fields, the certificate curriculum can help you really plan your courses. It can also demonstrate to employers that you have a solid foundation in these particular areas of law. And another benefit to our curriculum is that you can have, again, the degree, you can have the certificate, and if you have a first degree in law and you are considering becoming licensed in the United States to practice, you can also complete some of the required courses for the bar exam, which is one of the paths to become licensed in the US. With all of our programs, we have a really wide variety of courses. So I'm sure there's going to be many, many courses that interest you if you enroll with us. The problem might be that there's too many courses that you're interested in, and it's hard to narrow them down. With our courses, some are quite small. They can be like a seminar feel where it's a very small number of students in the class. And we also have courses that are quite large, that are more lecture style. Of our courses, some are offered only with LLM or MSL and MDR students, and some may be available to take with our domestic Juris Doctor students. So it's a really good opportunity, I think, to take courses with a really wide variety of students. So you have really interesting intellectual discourse during your classes. And I also want to mention, if you start in one of our LLM programs, you do have the opportunity to apply to our JD program as a transfer student after the LLM without having to take the LSAT. So this can be a really great option for students who really enjoy their studies with us during the first year, either plan to practice in the United States for a long period of time, or see how the Juris Doctor really can add value to their specific career path. So moving on to our online programs, you can see we have two primary online programs. That's our Master of Laws, as well as a Master of Studies in Law. So very similar to the on-campus programs, but just in an online format. You'll see the difference, the main difference is in the certificate options that are available, that there are slightly different certificates available online, primarily stemming from the compliance area of law. So there's compliance, financial compliance, healthcare compliance, human resources law and compliance, as well as privacy law and cybersecurity and social work administration. So similar to our on-campus programs, the certificates can be combined with a degree, or these particular certificates can be taken on their own. The degrees in our online programs offer 3 start dates, the summer, fall, and spring, but they are offered on a part-time schedule. So this can be more convenient if you know that you will be continuing to work. The online programming has really been tailored to help students absorb the material at their own pace, while still maintaining the opportunity to connect with other students and your instructor, no matter where you are. So there are parts of the online courses that you complete on your own, but then there are also those live discussions and, classroom kind of experience that we offer through our online courses, even though you might not be in the same physical space. And so now, having talked a little bit about the degrees that we offer, I really want to share more about, why you should consider a master's degree at all. So what can you expect to receive from it? It is an investment. It's an investment of your time and your resources. But like all great investments, there's going to be a huge payoff for you if you can really use the program to your advantage. So I'll cover some of those here. So with a master's degree, obviously, if you're coming to study with USC Gould, you're going to get the benefit of having some of the best legal education in the world, and certainly in the US. We are consistently a top 20 ranked law school in the US among some very competitive peers. So you know that you're going to get really valuable insight from our full-time faculty. And we also have the luxury of inviting adjunct instructors who may be industry leaders within Los Angeles to teach some of the courses. So you, of course, get the investment of education and focusing your studies on US law or any specializations that we offer. The other benefit that, once you go through the program, I think you can really feel how true this benefit is, and it might be a little abstract before you enroll, but one of the massive benefits is the built-in network to this program. So when you come and you study at USC, you'll be taking classes with students and legal professionals from all around the world, and certainly around the United States, who will graduate and become top attorneys, top in-house counsel. Perhaps they'll be in business, or they'll be judges all around the world. And so you have this great chance to meet people from all around the world and connect with them in your profession. And especially in the legal profession, your network contacts are your career. That's how you kind of can expand on your career. And so really just meeting people and seeing, who you connect with during the LM is a great opportunity. The other thing I want to mention is local experiential opportunities. So when I say experiential, what this means is getting that hands-on kind of real-world experience, whether it's at the law school or in the local legal community, of doing kind of actual legal work. So this can include possibly enrolling in a clinic where you work with real clients under supervision of your instructor. It can include volunteer work or working for academic credit at an organization that engages in legal work in Los Angeles. And it just gives you that chance to not only connect with people who are doing kind of important work and the work that you're interested in, but to really feel what it's like to practice law in the United States. And some of our classes also offer that experiential exposure where you might be drafting contracts or negotiating. So you can start to build your skills even as a student. I think one thing that sets USC apart, but really it sets schools in the United States, and particularly private schools like USC, is the level of student support that you can expect when you come study. And I know it really depends on what your experience was like before coming to USC, but we have a huge team of advisors. We have, I think, around 25 advisors now who work only with our graduate international students, which means that we support you with academic advising, academic support, career advising, that initial admissions process and getting your visa. So there's a lot of really, you have access to a lot of support with people who want to help you as much as possible. And so that's really great, especially if you are coming to the United States for the first time, or maybe it's the first time that you are living on your own. So we have a lot of built-in support. And some of the support that can be particularly helpful to students, especially those who might be looking to work in the United States, either after graduation permanently or just through their optional practical training period, is we have dedicated advisors who teach you how to navigate the United States job market. So we have workshops where you learn how to create a resume from your CV. You would not use your CV to apply. You're going to create a new legal resume. We teach you how you can network with professionals, how you can follow up with them and build your community. We teach you how to interview, and we give you access to other support such as alumni panels and specialized job fairs during the program. So there's a lot of guidance if that's something that you're interested in, so you don't have to do it alone. When you are thinking also about kind of your long-term plans, one of the other major benefits of studying in the US in particular is the opportunity to potentially have your law license in one of our jurisdictions. So if you have a first degree in law from China or from another country, you can potentially become licensed to practice in the United States after some required curriculum during the LLM. And this is really going to open a lot of doors for you if you plan to work in a big law firm after graduation, even if it's not in the United States. It's going to add a lot of value to your application when you start applying to positions, because employers will see your credentials of being able to work not only with clients in China or projects in China, but also clients and projects based out of the US. So now you've kind of doubled your client capacity. And this can be really attractive, even if you don't end up practicing in the US later. It demonstrates a level of skill and knowledge that makes you really qualified and can set you apart, especially in today's like very competitive job market. And another thing that I think is unique to coming to the US for graduate studies is that in the United States, you have the opportunity to extend your visa for work purposes for up to 1 year after graduation without requiring sponsorship. So you have this really unique opportunity, come to the United States, you get to experience all the wonderful culture that we offer, and you can stay and you can work for up to 1 year after graduation in a legal position. And even if you don't want to work and you want to tour the United States and just have an extended vacation, you can have that extra time after your degree ends. So it's a really kind of unique and really interesting opportunity for students. Again, even if you don't practice law in the United States for a long period of time, just having some US legal experience on your resume or on your CV can demonstrate your skills to potential employers and help you stand out from other candidates, again, in such a competitive market. And now I'd like to talk a little bit about what it feels like to study specifically at the law school. I know I've touched on that a little bit already. But I'd like to describe the US law school experience because I think it is a somewhat unique experience compared to other law schools around the world. I actually graduated from USC with my JD in 2010, so I can tell you a little bit more about what it's like to study law and particularly to go through the JD program. But one of the hallmarks of studying law in the United States is the interactive class participation, which we refer to as the Socratic method. So it is very common in law school classes for an instructor to call on a student to kind of analyze a legal issue and provide a response. And I think it's truly this level of critical thinking that teaches you how the law is developed and also what the implications are of applying the law. And by going through this process and learning in a slightly different way than just, reading and reviewing the rules, of understanding really how in the United States common law was built and developed, it gives you a skill that can be used no matter what you do after graduation, even if it has nothing to do with law, because you'll now have such an essential critical thinking ability that every employer is going to value, and even I'm sure in your personal life, it's going to have a lot of value. But beyond that, as I mentioned, you have the opportunity to learn from our faculty, some of the best instructors in the world, as well as experienced professionals who are industry leaders in Los Angeles. And as I mentioned before, you can take classes with our JD students. So you have, really the opportunity to tailor your experience to what your preferences are. If you want to take a lot of courses with JDs, you can do that. If you want to stick to LLM only courses, that might be available to you as well. Most students like to do a mix, and so you really get the greatest benefit of the time that you're in USC and in the US. So it's hard to describe campus life in just one slide. USC has some of the liveliest student life experiences that I've seen. It is a beautiful campus, and it's somewhat enclosed. So all of the buildings are kind of in this very specific area, which means that there's always so many people on campus, so many students and staff and faculty. And what that means, I think, for you is that there's probably going to be a student organization that is exactly what you're interested in. And you have the opportunity to connect with other people who share your talents and your interests. USC is also one of the schools in the United States with one of the largest international student populations. And I think this is important to mention for two reasons. Number one, we have a lot of familiarity with international students and what your questions might be and what your needs might be, and understanding the nuances of visas and work authorization. But it also means that there's so much diversity on campus, not just from our domestic students across all of our schools, but with our international students as well. And so it's a very welcoming, very lively student community. And as I shared previously, there's a lot of support from our office at the law school and really throughout campus. And I think it is certainly a value of USC to make sure that students have the best experience they can. You know, we understand that this is really a critical time when you're studying and you're making this investment in your future. And so we want to do everything we can to make sure you have a great experience and support you on that journey. And this perhaps does not need its own slide, and maybe this is very obvious information, but it is worth mentioning that we're located in Los Angeles, California. And California, I last heard, was actually the fifth economy in the world. So if you consider California its own economy, we are fifth. And that just goes to show how much industry is in the state and how many things are happening, which I feel makes it a really exciting place to be. We are certainly on kind of the cutting edge of creating new law and new policy, particularly when it comes to environmental law and some of the other laws coming out of privacy law and cybersecurity. And our location right on the water makes us a great city for connections with the Pacific Rim. So really all throughout Asia, there are a lot of companies that might have offices both in Asia, in China, and in Los Angeles. And I think, you know, it's extremely important to consider what your life experience is going to be like when you are doing a master's degree. So if you're spending a year of your life in a new location, you want to be sure that that's a location you want to be, right? It's a place you want to live. And I moved to Los Angeles to study in the JD program many, many years ago. And I didn't, you know, I was there for 15 years because I love Los Angeles so much. And it's not just the fact that it's a thriving legal market, a thriving business market. It's not just the fact that there are celebrities that live there. It's not just the weather. It's really the diversity of the people in Los Angeles and kind of the energy of the city that makes it so fun and so exciting. And I think particularly as a student, when you have this really unique opportunity to take a year and you know you're going to go somewhere different for a year, but then you'll go back home, to pick such a place that maybe you'll never live in LA, but just to go there to study and create memories. It's such a perfect place for that, I would say. So now, having talked about the programs and studying at USC and studying in Los Angeles, I'd like to touch a little bit on what you might do to prepare. So if you feel like, yes, a master's degree is in your future, whether it's next year or many years down the road, I wanted to give you some tips based on our experience working with students of how to make the most of your program and really how to prepare. So I will tell you that the number one thing that I would recommend is really practicing your English language skills before you come. You can watch English shows, you can read English newspapers or magazines, watching shows with subtitles, and really importantly to practice as much as you can. And I say this without being fluent in any other language, but I know that when you get to USC and you're taking classes, you're going to want to interact with all of your classmates. You're going to want to be able to go out into the city and feel comfortable going to a restaurant and going shopping. And so some of these things that we are recommending really help you have the best experience possible. And then certainly when you come to USC, to be sure that you are speaking English as much as you can. I know it's sometimes a challenge, but having the year in another country to work on your fluency and to have the opportunity to speak with native speakers, it's going to give you an incredible asset, because then you can list on your resume that you speak English fluently. You can connect with clients who may speak English. And it just, it just is a good skill, I think, to have for your personal life and for your career. And then I suppose another practical tip is the research. So because it is such an investment of time and money and resources to pursue these programs, we want you to pick the program that is the best fit for you. And what program that might be is going to depend on your specific circumstances and your specific goals. So things that I would encourage you to consider would be to look at, when you're researching schools, to look at what the curriculum is like. What are the available courses? Are there specializations? Are those specializations in areas that interest you? What is the level of student support? How many advisors do they have for your particular program or who work with international students? Again, thinking about the location. What city would you like to live in? Do you want to live in a really large city? Do you want to live in a smaller city or a suburb? Do you want to have great weather or maybe live somewhere where it snows? So thinking, really what your experience is going to be like during the program. And then thinking, as you're really selecting courses and being strategic with your participation in the program, how you want to use it in your career after graduation. And as always, certainly connecting with alumni and current students. We are always happy to share information for our current students and alumni who are in China, so you can ask questions of them and really get their sense of what it was like to study at USC. What tips do they have? What recommendations do they have? I know you probably have questions that you want to ask them that you don't want to ask me, and they're happy to answer them. So if you would like to be connected with any of our students or alumni, please let us know. We're happy to make that introduction for you. And finally, before you actually enroll in your master's program, you might consider our summer law and English program. So this is a 4-week non-degree program that we offer from July to August. This is a really good way to get exposure to a wide variety of legal topics, because in the morning you have a lecture on a different area of substantive law. And then in the afternoon, you have legal English workshops. So you're working with other students to build your legal English vocabulary. It's also just fun to be in Los Angeles in the summer because you don't have all of your master's courses yet. You just get to enjoy the city and all the things that happen in LA over the summer. It gives you an opportunity to connect with your classmates before the program begins and kind of build your network of friends and colleagues. And it gives you time to figure out where you want to live in the city and just kind of getting acclimated to living in a new place and a new place perhaps you've never been before. So it can be really, a good way to kind of ease into the program while still getting a lot of substantive benefits. So before we turn to our open Q&A session, I wanted to share our contact information here. So if you scan this QR code, you will be taken to a page with a lot of our brochures, and there's also a fee waiver survey. So if you are planning to apply for USC in the near future, you can go to that survey to get a coupon code when you submit your application via LSAC. And if you are planning to apply to USC perhaps a little bit further down the road, you can always contact us to request that fee waiver survey or that fee waiver code, and we're happy to provide that for you. If you have questions about USC and the law school specifically, please feel free to email us at GIP Admissions. If you want to be connected with a current student or an alumni, you have questions about your application or what it's like to study in the US, let us know. And then I've provided the email addresses for each of our international office directors, as well as the international office link for all of the offices that USC hosts around the world. I hope that this information session was helpful. I'd like to turn it now to the Q&A session. I have not been monitoring the chat, so I don't know if there's any general questions that can be answered.
Hi, Sarah. I think there are many questions about our LLM to JD transfer program. Perhaps you can share a little bit about that. What's involved in that, what is required to become eligible for that, how they can learn more about it.
Yeah, so the JD LM transfer program gives our LM graduates who have a first degree in law the opportunity to apply for the JD program as a transfer student without taking the LSAT, the LSAT exam. What it looks like is in April, the application becomes available on LSAC. You can apply either the semester that you're graduating or within 3 years of your graduation date. When you apply, you will provide your really all of the information that you gave to us for your LLM application. So your transcripts from your first degree, your TOEFL or IELTS score. You will share your resume, any work experience that you have, if you are licensed to practice in any jurisdictions or not. And we will provide your final transcript to the JD admissions office. It is an extremely competitive program. There are no minimum requirements, but they will look very closely for near native levels of English proficiency. And they will also be evaluating your grades during the LLM to make sure that you performed very highly, such that if you were to be admitted to the JD transfer program, you would be successful. In terms of the kind of the degree process, how it works, during the LLM, you will need to enroll in at least 15 units of JD courses, and you can enroll in more if you like. And then those credits, however many units you've taken in JD courses, will be applied towards your JD degree. There are 88 units required of the JD degree at USC. So depending on how many units you are able to transfer towards the JD degree will determine how long your course of study is. When you transfer to the program, the first year you will be considered a 1L student. So you'll enroll in all of the mandatory 1L curriculum. And then in the remaining semesters, it's typically 3 remaining semesters, so 2.5 years total. You'll take upper division courses to fulfill the other degree requirements for the JD. Now, if you are successful, you will receive both the LLM and the JD degree in a total of 3.5 years. You do have the opportunity to participate in the on-campus interview program for JD students initially upon transfer, but it is quite a competitive program. And the JD admissions office does not accept deferrals. So if you are admitted, you either need to enroll or you would need to apply again at a later semester. And another very, very important thing to mention is that there are no scholarships available for the JD transfer applicants. So if you are admitted and you decide to enroll, you will be responsible for paying the tuition completely.
Hi, Sarah. From my side, I have some comments and questions from the live streaming, and I would like to spot out on our WeChat live streaming, now we have 2,300 viewers, and for our TikTok live streaming, we have around 300 viewers for today's session. And thank you for joining us for our live streaming of USC Graduate Education Platform today. And the questions I've got from one audience is that how to apply for the summer legal English courses and what is the minimum requirement?
Yeah, so Ashley, do you want to take the lead in answering the SLE admissions question? I think you're in mute.
I'm so engrossed in the chat box that I muted myself. But I did put in the chat box, by the way, a link to our summer law in English. So I hope those of you who are able to see that can go and visit our summer law in English webpage and explore the information that is on there. The application is available right now for those of you who are thinking about doing the summer law and English program this coming summer. It will close on May 15th. We advise that you get started early, and of course, if you are already admitted to our LLM program, you have already been notified about the possibility of starting SLE before starting your LLM with us. If you apply right now, you will not have to pay for the application fee. I just wanted to let you know that that will be automatically waived for you. We do get a variety of students at various levels of English who participate in SLE. So don't worry too much about your level of English, because we will, at the very beginning, test your English skills to slot you into the right level of coursework. And it is 4 weeks long every summer, including this coming summer. In terms of what we look for, certainly, we will take a look at the entire application to get a sense of who you are. And so we will take a look at your resume, your CV, and your personal statement as well, to get a sense of who you are. We encourage you to submit your TOEFL or IELTS score report if you have one, to send to us. I hope that you will consider summer law in English, whatever your level of English is. We would be happy to have you join us and get a head start and strengthen your legal English skills.
Thank you. And another audience asks about the scholarship, and I also hear about the scholarship. There is we don't offer the scholarship, but is it for all the programs? It's only for JD?
Yeah, so it's a really good question, the cost of attendance. So we automatically consider all of our applicants for scholarship consideration. There's no separate application. What happens is once you submit your completed application, we will review it for admission as well as for scholarship. We offer both tuition scholarships as well as scholarships that can be used towards your living expenses, which we refer to as a housing stipend. And the amount of scholarships really, it varies. So it really depends on, of course, your qualifications. It depends on the qualifications of maybe other candidates in your pool. And so for that reason, I would encourage you to apply as early as you know you are interested in attending USC, because by meeting our priority admissions, our priority application deadline, you can also meet our priority scholarship consideration. The only program that is not eligible for scholarship is the LLM to JD transfer program. So if you apply as a direct candidate to the JD program or to any of our LLM degrees or the MSL or any of the certificates, you can receive a scholarship.
Thank you. And another audience asks about the I-20 questions. Maybe we just talked about the summer English program and also the degree program. So the audience wonder the I-20, how long will it take for like different programs? If you can take answer in a little bit detail. And yes, after they pay the deposit, yes.
So I'll start, and then Ashley, if you can fill in. So it's my understanding that the way the I-20 processing works is once you are admitted, you are required to provide a commitment deposit. We will then process your deposit. We will start the path of enrolling you for the upcoming term. You will be required to provide financial support documents to generate your I-20. And then it, I believe, depends on a little bit the time of the year in terms of processing. So depending on when you're applying, we send all of our applications to graduate admissions at USC, and they are the ones that generate your I-20. Ashley, do you have, I'm sure there's something I'm missing.
Yes, Sarah, you're right. Generally, I would say that our students who have been admitted, let's say for this coming fall, at this point, we are starting the I-20 process. And so we will be notifying our students of the instructions that will be helpful for gathering all of their documentation. So passport copies, their financial support documents. And they will be submitting all of those documents this month. We will encourage all of our students to get their materials in by April 1st, so that our I-20 center will generate the I-20s and email that to our students in May. So May is probably the busiest time for the I-20 mailing and, well, emailing, because it is sent digitally now to our students. So we encourage our students to be on the lookout in March, get ready to gather all of their documents and get those submitted in to the portal around April 1st. Of course, our final application deadline is May 1. And so there will be some students who apply later who are further, down in the process. So they may be submitting their passport copies and support documents a little bit later and getting their I-20 a little later as well. So as Sarah shared earlier, it's a really good idea to apply early for both a scholarship consideration and also to make sure that your I-20 will not be delayed.
Thank you, Ashley. And that's the questions for my side. And I also spot our audience in the webinar hands up if this audience have some questions.
Yeah, hi. I do have a follow-up question for the LLM to JD transfer option. So, so regarding the transcripts, can I just use the LLM account portal? I mean, the transcript evaluation from the LLM side. Can I just upload that document for the transcripts? If I want
you're
to
asking
do
about
the JD. Yeah, please go ahead.
So, and so basically what it will look like when you apply is on April 1st, the application opens. What you will be required to submit in that specific application will be the application questionnaire. You will provide an updated resume. You will provide a personal statement, so discussing why you're interested in the JD program specifically. And then we also ask for what we call a post-graduation plan statement. So this is a one-page document, it could even be shorter than that, just outlining what you expect to do with your JD. So what are your plans for your career after you graduate? And it doesn't have to be extremely specific, but we just want to get a general sense of what your plans are. Together with all of those documents that you will submit, we will also provide the JD admissions office with your complete LLM application. So that will include all of the transcripts that you provided to our office, any letters of recommendation, your initial resume and CV and personal statement. So all of that gets taken together and submitted to the JD admissions office. We will also generate your LLM transcript for their review as soon as the grades are available.
Oh, thanks. Great. Thank you so much.
Of course.
One question, Sarah, that would be great for you to address that was posed in the chat is, what kind of jobs can I find after graduating from the LLM if I want to stay in the US?
So this is a very good question. And it really depends. So it depends a lot on what your background is, and it depends also on what your goals are. There's a lot of, kind of variations. What I will say is that, if you start the LLM program and it is your very priority goal to work in the US for any period of time, and maybe a short period of time, just during OPT, or maybe for 3 to 5 years after graduation. But if you know that's your goal, I would strongly encourage you to meet with a career advisor very early in your program, so we can work with you to set goals and a strategy so you can accomplish that goal. If you are very interested in working in the US, I would strongly encourage you to prepare for a bar exam. Many of our students who live in LA ultimately want to stay in LA. And if that is where you fall as well, I would encourage you to sit for the California bar so you can become licensed to practice and work in Los Angeles. Once you meet those kind of initial barriers to entry, meaning you have your LLM degree, you're licensed to practice in California, you can look at really any kind of attorney job or in-house job or consulting job that you might be interested in. And the difference between someone who is successful in finding a position that they really enjoy and someone who is not successful, I think it comes down to two things. So number one is preparation and planning, but really the biggest difference is networking. So USC is kind of known for our alumni network, which we call the Trojan family. And it is extremely strong in Los Angeles and Southern California. So we have many, many, many attorneys and business professionals who graduated either from the law school at USC or perhaps from another USC school who feel very connected to recent USC graduates and current USC students. And this can be absolutely in your favor because it means that you can reach out to people and meet with them. You can get their advice and their opinions. We recently held a panel of our alumni who are currently working in the US, and they all said the same thing, which is that they were able to secure their current position through a networking contact. And so you were launched into the professional network with your built-in USC network. So it's a good opportunity for that. If you are not planning to work in the United States for a long period of time, or you're not planning to practice law, you don't want to sit for the bar exam, you're going to be more limited in the positions that you can apply for because you won't be able to practice. So in that case, you can look for legal intern positions. Sometimes you can find paralegal positions. It's slightly more challenging, I will say, if you don't have a law license, but it's still possible. And the same kind of guidance applies, which is that you want to start early, work with an advisor, let us help you by creating your US style resume, let us connect you with alumni who are in the area, in your field. And really the more you can put yourself out there, the more likely it is you'll be able to find something that meets your goals. I see a question in the chat about the bar exam. So I will try to answer this. So if you are planning to sit for a bar exam after graduation, we offer bar tracks to help students prepare for the California bar, the New York bar, the Washington District of Columbia bar, the Washington State Bar. And most recently, we've noticed a lot of students who are planning to sit for the Texas Bar, as it's now a UBE jurisdiction. So typically, when you are preparing to sit for these exams, you will be required to enroll in a specific set of courses during the program. And we have that certificate track available to you, so you can be sure that you're following all of the course requirements. Our career advisors also create manuals for you to understand how to register for the bar, and we help you submit your transcripts to the bar exam. Beyond the eligibility requirements and preparation, there's a couple of ways that you can prepare. Number one is beyond some of the required courses that you take during the LLM, you can just enroll in other bar subject classes. So you can take, if you've never taken constitutional law, I typically recommend that, especially for our students who are coming from a civil law jurisdiction, because it tends to be very kind of unique to the US. At USC, we have a series of workshops that we put on over the year called Early Bar Prep. And these are kind of concentrated workshops where you get exposure to a substantive area of law that's tested on the exam, as well as the modality of the testing. So you get to see what a multiple choice question looks like, what an essay question looks like, what a performance test question looks like. So you just start to get the sense of what it's going to feel like when you sit for the exam. Now, my number one recommendation to anyone who is planning to sit for the bar exam is to enroll in a commercial prep course. So this is something that happens after graduation. We are not affiliated with any of these programs. They're kind of their own entities. They're programs like Barbary, Kaplan, Themis, Ameribar. There are so many out there now. And the reason we recommend that students take these commercial bar courses is because those courses will teach you not just what is going to be tested on the bar, but what they really teach you is how to take the exam in a way that you will pass. Right? So in a way that you are answering the questions so you get maximum amount of credit. Because the bar exam is not a test of your knowledge of the law or of your ability to interpret the law or apply the law. It is a test specifically about the bar. It is a test of, can you answer these questions in the way that the bar administrators have created? And sometimes students say, well, do I really need to take that prep course? And having taken the bar and having taken, the JD program, let me tell you that every JD student enrolls in one of these programs because they know that they need to have the bar license to work, and they can't just graduate without, being able to work. And so having these programs, it teaches you the specific skills that you need so you can pass. The law school teaches you how to think like an attorney. It teaches you critical thinking skills and analysis. It does not teach you how to pass the bar. That's what those programs are for. And this question comes up a lot. Can I pass the bar after just the LLM, or do I need the JD? You can absolutely pass the bar after the LLM. You do not need 3 years of study to pass the bar. But again, what we recommend is that you take one of the bar courses and really that you take it seriously. It's a very difficult exam. It typically requires pretty much your full concentration from graduation to the time that you take the exam. And if you can do that and you commit, then you can pass.
Hi, Sarah. Hi.
Hi.
Hi, this is Gloria. Yeah, I have a question. Yeah, could you please tell me more details about the legal law English program? Yeah, where it begins and since when?
Are you asking about the summer law in English?
Yeah, summer law English.
So summer law in English will start, don't know the date off the top of my head, but it'll start in mid-July.
Yeah.
It's a 4-week program, so it'll go right through the beginning of August. So if you are enrolling in our LLM program, you have basically a week, and then there's orientation, and then our program starts. I think Ashley has added the link for SLE, the SLE application, in the chat. And oh yes, I see it here. Copy it again. And the application deadline is May 15th. I'm not sure if that answered your question.
Where in the USC campus this program?
So the I don't know that we have confirmed the classroom of the classroom space. Typically, the lectures are hosted in a big auditorium, and then the legal English classes are hosted in smaller classrooms at the law school.
Okay, thank you.
Sarah, I just wanted to add that SLE this summer is July 10th through August 4th.
Thanks, Ashley. I know we've been on a long time, and we've talked about a lot of things. So if other questions come up, or if you don't feel comfortable entering your question in the chat, please email us. We'll put our email in the chat. Happy to answer any questions that come up or things that you might think about later. I see a question about the class size for the 2-year LLM. So Ashley, it's my understanding that 2-year LLM is typically between 20 to 30 students in a cohort. So in the first year of the program, you'll be taking your legal classes with that same cohort, and then you will be assigned very specific English language classes depending on your level of fluency. Then after that first year, you'll enroll in one of our other LLM programs. You can do the general LLM or one of the specialized LLMs. And those class sizes really vary. But you'll be basically with the rest of the class taking classes in our upper division curriculum. And I got a question about the New York bar exam, whether students have to physically go to New York to sit for the exam. The answer is yes. So I believe now that COVID restrictions have essentially ended in the US, all of the bar administrators are holding their bar exams in person. And that means you will need to go physically to the jurisdiction of the bar exam where you're planning to sit. So if you're planning to sit for New York, you would travel to New York for the exam. You know, similarly, Texas, Washington, DC, Washington State, you'll take the exam in person. So I see a question about when you get to start enrolling in courses and registering for courses for the fall. So if you've been admitted to one of our programs, congratulations. That's really exciting, and we're excited to see you on campus in a few months. We will be sending a lot of emails to you over the summer with a lot of information about next steps and what's required. The important thing to know about registration, which our registrars will share again over the summer, is that if you are entering the US, you will need to complete what's called passport verification, which is a meeting that you have on campus. You need to complete that step before you can register for courses. That's why we really encourage students to arrive at the beginning of August so that you can complete that step. A registration will happen towards the middle of August. And again, we'll send a lot of information about what courses are available, a schedule, all of that, what the registration process will look like over the summer. I see another question. Okay. There is like very minimal information about the JD transfer program. I can't pull the link up now, but if you go to the JD page and you look under alternate admissions paths in the drop-down menu, there's some information about the LLM to JD transfer program. And of course, if you have specific questions, please feel free to email us, or you can, of course, ask them here. The JD LLM transfer program is open to all of our students who have graduated from our on-campus LLM program. So whether it's a general LLM or any of the specialized LLMs, including IBEL, we do require that you have a first degree in law. So as long as you have that first degree in law, you complete our LLM, whichever one it is on campus, and you complete at least 15 units of JD classes during the LLM, you can apply in April.
So Sarah, to clarify, you do not have to be in the general LLM degree program to be considered for the LLM to JD transfer program, correct? From what you just shared?
That's right. And perhaps while we wait to see what other questions come by, I'd like to talk a little bit about choosing which program. Sometimes we get that question, how should I know whether I do a general LLM or one of the specialized LLMs? And it really depends on what your specific goals are and what you'd like to do during the LLM and what you'd like to do afterwards. The general LLM has the most flexibility in the curriculum. There are only 2 required courses, and there are only 21 units required to graduate. So, you know, depending on what specific courses you might want to take, or if you are planning to apply for very specifically the Washington, D.C. bar exam, then the 1-year general LLM might be the best fit for you. If you are already very interested in the topics covered by one of the specialized degree programs, so let's say you would already take a lot of ADR courses if you were in the one-year LLM, then it might make sense to have the specialized degree. All of the specialized degrees are 24 units, and they do have more required courses. So the mandatory courses will vary depending on the degree program, and that can impact your ability to pursue a specific bar track. All of the degree programs, you can take courses for either the California or New York bar exams. If you're interested in a different jurisdiction, again, specifically the Washington, D.C. bar exam has very high course unit requirements. That would be only available through the one-year LLM. And for students who are interested in the JD transfer program, we will send you an email during your program with a lot more information about the application process. There is a list of frequently asked questions that we can share, and I also host a presentation about the transfer program. So if you have specific questions, I'm happy to answer them here. Again, you can email us. But we provide a lot of information during the degree. It is an extremely competitive program. So oftentimes students don't want to take the LSAT exam, and so they just want to apply through the transfer program. It is possible, but it does require a lot of planning at the outset. Typically, only 1 to 2 students are admitted from the LN pool every year. So, you know, that might give you some sense of how competitive it is. Typically, all of the candidates who are admitted are in the top 10% of their class and have very, very strong English language skills. And I see a question about OPT, or optional practical training. That is a 1-year extension of your F1 visa. If you have not applied for OPT at the master's level before, you can apply after your master's program at USC. There are certain requirements for OPT, including a minimum number of hours that you have to work. You have to be doing substantive legal work. But if you are able to maintain the OPT requirements, you can stay up to 1 year after your OPT start date, which can technically be 60 days after graduation. So the very latest you could stay in the US if you apply for OPT on the latest start date and you fulfill all of the OPT requirements during the year would be in July, mid-July, a year after you graduate. And I see Ashley put in the chat, we do have a WeChat group. So if you are admitted to USC, let us know if you'd like to join our WeChat group. We can add you to the chat so you can start connecting with other incoming classmates. All right, well, as I see that I think a lot of the questions have died down, I'd like to invite Ashley or Dean Shimotu if you have any last minute words before we sign off.
I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for coming. You know, we're just so happy to have you here this evening and to have you consider USC and the Gould School of Law. So we hope to see you in the fall, and please feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions. As Sarah and Ashley have mentioned, we're happy to help you, and we hope to see you on campus. So thank you.
And I just want to add that although I wish I could be meeting with you in person, I'm so grateful for this opportunity to connect with you online. I hope that many of you will come visit us on the USC campus. And I hope that I can be helpful to you along with our many colleagues at the Graduate and International Programs Office towards earning your LLM, hopefully at USC.
Thank you, Dean Shimozu. Thank you, Ashley. And thank you, April, for helping coordinate our live session. That is really exciting and a little scary to hear how many people are listening to me right now. But I hope that this information was helpful. Again, we want you to have the best experience possible. So if you have any questions at all, you have questions about the application process, you don't know where in LA to live, you don't know which bar exam you want to take, please reach out to us. We're very, very happy to help you and answer any questions that come up. Thank you again, especially if you've been with us this whole time. Thank you so much for your time. And I hope that you have a really good rest of your day. And as Ashley said, we really hope to see you on campus very, very soon.
Thank you, Misa. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have a good
Everyone.
day.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Take care.